know what's dangerous? They have called President Trump Hitler and called him Nazi. They've called me Nazi. Someone drove by their bicycle today outside the courtroom and called me a fascist. They call us names all the time. Why isn't their speech being gagged? Why isn't their speech being censored? Why isn't their speech being weighed in the public court of opinion and weighed in courtrooms as being disparaging and inflammatory and inciting violence against people?
I really need everyone to spare me the faux outrage and the pearl clutching about this. A little collection of things that Donald Trump and high-ranking Republicans call liberals on a daily basis: anarchists, anti-American, deranged, communists, corrupt, compromised, groomers and perverts, thugs and traitors.
One of the things that Republicans have in common with douchebags all around the world is that they can dish, but they can't take.
Another member of GOP House leadership who has taken to calling those imprisoned for their illegal actions on January 6th hostages. Hostages. They attacked our very democracy, and yet they are the victims? It's morally bankrupt. This is not only a sick, twisted perversion of the truth, it's also deeply offensive to Americans across this country. What my extreme MAGA Republican colleagues and their apologists are doing is perpetrating a deeply cynical, psychological manipulation.
So my extreme Marxist colleague, who is a mindless follower of Joe Biden, raised the specter of insurrection and lawlessness. And the lawlessness that she was talking about is January 6th. How about the stinking lawlessness at the border every day? Title 8 is violated every day by this administration.
Can I raise a point of order?
The Title 8...
Just hold on the time. The gentlelady has a point of order.
Can we ask members of the committee not to cast aspersions upon members of the committee?
We had aspersions cast upon us by your member, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, my observation is that extreme MAGA is used on a daily basis by the second, and so saying extreme Marxist is fair game. You'll have the gentleman from Arizona continue.
They're entitled to tear you down, but they can't handle it.
I believe in hate speech. When you have hate for somebody, I am 100% into hate speech, because it's freedom of speech. You can speak.
So if you hate someone, you should be able to just say.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so you think it exists?
Yep, 100%.
Freedom of speech is freedom of speech, no matter what the speech is. It sounds terrible. I mean, you might want to cover your kids' ears, but it's still freedom of speech.
I don't believe there's anything as hate speech. It's all under interpretation. You know, people interpret how they want, and they can interpret whatever they want. So they can change anything to hate speech. You know, if I say I want to step on a grasshopper, it can be considered hate speech. It all depends on the person. And I believe we should have the freedom to say whatever we want. If we hurt somebody's feelings, oh well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but, you know, words will never hurt me.
I think there's free speech. I think hate speech is just a term they dreamed up to keep other people from talking, saying what's on their mind, for the most part. Sure, things get a little overboard, but they always have. And if people can't speak their mind, how are you going to know what people think and what they want? And it's just ridiculous, all this hate speech talk. I don't like it at all.
If people are trying to destroy other people, you got to stand up. And that's what they say. Anytime you stand up, we're the bad guys, because we say, hey, you can't do that. So they'll call that hate speech. It's so twisted. It's so soft. It's so, I mean, when Obama was in there, everybody was like, okay, we're more locked down too. When Trump got in, the patriots felt like we can breathe.
Are there any Democratic patriots?
I tell you what, I would like to meet one. I probably the last one I know of is Jack Kennedy. I mean, listen, when the platform, the Democratic platform threw God out, that's what we got the freedom from. First thing they did when they came across, they bent their knee to God because they were tired of had tyranny. That's what this country's built on.
What do you think of what Tucker Carlson said the other day? There's no such thing as hate speech.
No, I think people just get offended really easy now. And when CRT and, all the racism, Black Lives Matter and everything was pushed, it took on a whole new definition of what hate speech actually is.
Listen, I'm somebody, I dish out to people all the time and people dish it back to me. And I don't really care. I laugh at the jokes as well. You got to be able to take it, but they can't handle it. There's really a stark difference in what gets dished out by Republicans or by people on the left or however you want to classify it. People on the right, they'll tear you down for being gay. They'll tear you down for being an immigrant. They'll tear you down for being transgender. They'll tear you down for, wanting to expand the healthcare system. And then on the left, we'll be pointing our fingers like, this guy, Donald Trump, he's got 91 felonies. And they're like, who cares? None of that matters. Who gives a damn? Donald Trump, my man's always like $500 million in fines. When you add up all the interest and everything between the E. Jean Carroll and what just got handed down with Judge and Gorham, they're like, oh, who cares? They opening up GoFundMe's for this dude to pay his bills for him. He is touring the country selling gold and spray painted sneakers to pay off his bills, right? They reverse Roe v. Wade. They pass 6-week, 12-week abortion bans. They out here just making life hard for people, trying to make it hard for people to vote, trying to take away, not even believing in things like minimum wage. I mean, every which way you look, it's like, damn, Republicans are just making things difficult. And when you criticize them for that, they're like, you're trying to cancel me for not wanting to raise wages or being against unions. It's quite silly, but unfortunately, this is the world that we live in.